With only a week left of Festival of Lost, you're almost out of time to get the rolls on the weapons from the event. This year, we've had some old friends brought back with Horror Story, Braytech Werewolf Auto Rifles, and the Rapid Fire Pulse Jurassic Green. All of these came with refreshed perks and two with the Origin trait. Perhaps more exciting though is the new Macabre, my new favorite PvP sniper, and it also has some very unique PvE roles as well. I'm iYogert, and today I'm going to let you know what roles to look out for on these Festival of Lost weapons so you don't have FOMO for the next year. Starting off with our auto rifles, in the sandbox change 6.2.5, Bungie changed the ease of use of precision frame auto rifles by changing the crit scaler. This gives us an extra 1 damage on all of our headshots, which both Horror Story and Braytech Werewolf take advantage of. Starting off with Horror Story, we're met with a lackluster perk pool, but have the options of scopes instead of barrels, which is something Bungie normally doesn't do anymore. The fact that we have scopes instead of barrels allows us to increase our zoom value, which gives us the longest range auto rifle in the game, even allowing us to push and compete with pulse rifles. Speaking of which, the scope we're going to be using for both our PvP and PvE role is going to be the Rifle Scope ST, as it's going to increase our zoom value to 22, and thus increasing our range out to 40 meters. For PvP, there's really only one role that I'm going to recommend, and that's going to be the Rifle Scope, which I just talked about, Accurized rounds, and then Killing Wind and Moving Target. Killing Wind and Moving Target are going to allow us to duel more efficiently and continue to push out that range even further once we get a kill. For PvE, there's not a whole lot going for this, but the clear role in my opinion is Tactical Mag, along with the Rifle Scope that we talked about before, Subsistence and or Ambitious Assassin depending on preference, and Demolitionist. There's only a few auto rifles in the game, especially in the kinetic slot, that are able to get demo, so here I just think it's the clear choice. With the Braytech Werewolf, we swap back to barrels instead of having scope options, but we get a much more interesting perk pool. That being said, for PvP, I'm going to recommend Full Bore for a little extra range, Ricochet Round to give us more range while counteracting the stability hit we take from Full Bore, Dynamic Sway, and then Kill Clip. For PvE, Full Bore and Ricochet Rounds again, and then just because it's something unique, Pugilist and Swashbuckler. Other perk combos on this I just don't really see being that useful. You could swap Pugilist out for Subsistence, but I really think that Swashbuckler is going to be the play in the 4th column, unless for some reason you just really like Vorpal. All of this being said though, I really don't like auto rifles that much. For PvP, I feel like pulse rifles and hand cannons do the same thing that these auto rifles do, but better, while allowing you to peek shot. The main use I see for these auto rifles is going to be in PvE, but only when they're in the artifact. Maybe one day we can return to the Uriel's Gift glory days. Moving on to something more exciting, I think the Macabre sniper is the best PvP sniper in the game currently. That, paired with the fact that Eva Levante gives you a near god roll at the start of the event, really just adds to the accessibility of this weapon and probably accounts for why you've been sniped by it so many times in Crucible. That being said, the role Eva Levante gives you is pretty good, but I do think there are a few things that we could change about it if you wanted to grind for the absolute god roll. For PvP, I'm going to go with Fluted Barrel and Accurized rounds. This is going to increase the handling on our high impact sniper, which is normally pretty low, giving us faster swap speed and aim down sight speeds. And then Accurized rounds is going to boost our range stat, which helps with our aim assist values. Then we're going to go with the tried and true Snapshot opening shot. Snapshot again for the ADS time, and then opening shot for the free juicy headshots. Now, I don't think that snipers are necessarily in the best of place right now in the PvE sandbox, mostly getting beaten out by linear fusion rifles currently. But that being said, some roles to look out for would be something like Clown Cartridge, Auto Loading, or Triple Tap, paired with a damage perk in the final column like Vorpal and High Impact Reserves. This also can roll with the new Volt Shot perk, which, while interesting, I don't necessarily think would be a great damage perk. It might be fun to mess around with in some low end content, but I still think if you're wanting to use this for pure damage, Vorpal and high impact reserves are going to be the play. Before we get to the final weapon, if this guide has helped you so far, be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe for more content. Thank you. Rapid fire pulses are the mid-range dueling kings, and Jurassic Green 2.0 makes a great claim to the throne as king of the jungle. Something we haven't talked about up until this point, but I think really makes the biggest mark here, is the new origin trait, Search Party. This reads, weapon is granted faster aim down sight speed and movement speed while aiming down sights when no allies are near. The range on this is going to be 15 meters, and in game modes like Rumble, or if you just like to be a lone wolf, I think this really helps, especially on Jurassic Green with dueling, as anytime we can up our strafe scaler, it's going to make a weapon feel much better. That being said, we're really going to lean into the dueling here with the PvP role that I'm suggesting. For barrel, you're gonna want arrowhead break. Reason for this is the base on this, even with a counterbalance stock, is only 65 recoil direction. Throwing arrowhead break brings us up to 95, which I feel makes it much more manageable when in those 1v1 duels. Also, I think high caliber rounds for the extra flinch to knock your opponent off their shot is going to be huge, while also giving us a nice bump in range. In column 3, I feel there's actually a few options here. You could go something like rangefinder just to give us one extra zoom and give us extra range, allowing us to compete a little further out. You could go something like steady hands, as the rapid fire frames have awful handling, and this basically counteracts that. Killing Wind, which is going to pair with our fourth column perk for PvP really nicely, while giving us a bump to range, mobility, and handling after a kill. But I think the clear winner here is going to be Perpetual Motion, giving us stability, handling, and reload, all for just the cost of moving about the map. Fourth column also has some interesting perks, but I think the clear standout is going to be Golden Tricorn, as you get a 15% increased damage for 7 seconds with just one kill. This can go up to 50 if you get a grenade or power melee kill, and that will be for 10 seconds. For PvE, I think the clear option here is going to be Subsistence and Incandescent, as Incandescent can only roll on so many weapons right now, and only one other pulse rifle in the Battler. If you're looking to farm any of the roles we talked about today, go watch my farming video last week to make sure you're doing it the most efficient. Other than that, may RNGesus bless you with the roles you want, and until next time, I'll see y'all about the tower.